Assalamu Dr. Sir. Today we will ask a question about when should we celebrate Eid al-Adha. Normal perception is we should celebrate with our local moon sighting, or should we follow Saudi Arab, because Hajj and Arafah events happen only in Makkah, which is located in Saudi Arab. What should we follow? What does our Islam says about this one? Are there any Qurani ayats? Quran give us any guidelines to do that? Could you just explain on this one?
I'm very surprised of this recent modern bid'ah or innovation that has started from not so long ago. And if you ask them the reason, how do you know about this thing? Why are you doing these things? Why are you trying to tell it or align with the Saudi dates? All they have with them is some intellectual arguments. But intellectual arguments are always after the Kitab wa Sunnah. The very first arguments you should look for and ask them is evidence from Kitab and Sunnah. Okay? So if you look in the Quran, what evidence do we find? How shall we calculate? How shall we decide when to actually celebrate these things? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran says in Surah Yunus, ayat number 5, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَ الشَّمْسَ ضِيَاءً وَالْقَمَرَ نُورًا وَقَدَّرَهُ مَنَازِلَ لِتَعْلَمُوا عَدَدَ السِّنِينَ. Allah, it is He who has made the sun to be a shining glory and the moon to be a light, and measured out stages for her so that you can know the number of years and the count of time. In another verse of Quran, in Surah Baqarah, verse number 189, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَهِلَّةِ قُلْ هِيَ مَوَاقِيتُ لِلنَّاسِ وَالْحَجِّ. They ask you, the Sahaba ask you about the crescent moon. Tell them that it is meant to be a time setter. Ahilla means crescent moon. Tell them it is for mawaqit, a time setter, so that you can count the days and the years. Okay. So in a famous tafsir, Ibn Jarir, also known as Tafsir al-Tabari, Ibn Jarir has mentioned that this verse over here includes finding out the days for Hajj, finding out the dates for fasting, finding out dates for Eid al-Adha, for Eid al-Fitr, and for all of these occasions. Right? So the Quran says just this, and there's nothing else in there. What does we find out? What is the guidance in Sunnah? What is the guidance in Hadith? The date that is mentioned through Sunnah, that you found out Sunnah, was the 10th of Zil-Hajjah for the Eid al-Adha, and 9th of Zil-Hajjah for the fast of Arafah. Okay, and if you observe the practice of Rasulullah, if you try to look at all the collection of the hadith, you never find a single hadith of Rasulullah that says or that recommends going to Makkah and checking out their dates and then synchronizing with them. There is not a single hadith, not even a weak hadith out there. Similarly, if you look at the practice of Rasulullah from the Sunnah, you don't find any single evidence from there. So no single time exists when Rasulullah in Medina ever tried to find out that. Well, what if you go to the Blessed Companions' time, the Khulfa Rashidin time? Again, you find no single evidence that they ever tried to find out the dates of Makkah. Tabe'in, they never tried to find out. Yani, till the last 1400 years or so, there is no single incident ever, no scholar ever tried to find out the dates. The books of fiqh written by several big ulama throughout the centuries of Islamic glory, they never mention that people, they never obligate the people to actually try to find out the dates in the Saudi. There are 4 popular fiqh: fiqh al-Hanafiyyah, fiqh al-Shafiyyah, fiqh al-Malikiyyah, fiqh al-Hanbaliyyah. None of these none of these imams ever obligate their followers to go and look for the dates in Saudi. Right? So the question that should come up in the minds of intellect sane Muslims is, where did this come from? Right? So you cannot just blindly follow people and they try to trick you into intellectual arguments. Well, intellectual arguments come after you find evidence in Kitab and Sunnah. Intellectual arguments supplement Kitab and Sunnah. Alright? They do not surpass or supersede Quran and Sunnah. So this is totally insane. So I'm surprised how many people start to follow that thing. Whereas if they just do a little bit of sound reasoning, as I mentioned, they will understand that there is no evidence in there, and whatever amount of intellectual arguments you give it doesn't make any sense. So the Ummah has never followed this thing before. Now, if you come to intellectual arguments, have you ever tried to think about it? It was not even technologically possible for people in far-off Islamic countries to find out the date of Saudia, and when are the hujjaaj actually in the ground of Arafah, and when are they actually stoning the pillars, right, so that they can synchronize their Eid with them. It was not possible. The communication technologies just got advanced in the early 20th century. Okay, some early 1900s or so. Before the telegram, before that we had no ways of quickly sending news to far off places like that. So how can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordain Muslims to do something which was not possible for them to do for the 1400 years of period? This is just, it doesn't make any sense. The other thing is the reason why people make this mistake. So I say, when people give this argument, they say, you have to synchronize with them when they are performing the activities of Arafah. You should fast the Sawm of Arafah. When they are performing the activities of Tens al-Hajjah over there, you should do the sacrifice of Tens al-Hajjah. And I say, yes, we do synchronize. They are in Arafah when? On 9th of Dhul-Hajjah. When do we fast? On the 9th of Dhul-Hajjah. When are they stoning the pillars? 10th of Dhul-Hajjah. When are they sacrificing? 10th of Dhul-Hajjah. When are we sacrificing? 10th of Dhul-Hajjah. So we are exactly synchronizing with them. No. But then say, no, we don't mean that. If they're doing on the 13th of March, you should do it on 13th. Well, how can you mix the two calendars together? That's the mistake people make. They mix and match two calendar systems. Hijri calendar is a separate system. Gregorian calendar, which talks about January, February, March, April, it's a different system. It's a big, huge mistake of synchronizing dates of these two calendars. All right? When the 10th of Dhul-Hajjah over there is on the 13th of March, but 10th of Dhul-Hajjah at your place, you're celebrating on the 14th of March, and that's not synchronized, so it's just wrong. Well, this comparing of these two calendar systems is wrong. You should stick to one calendar system, and which is the Islamic calendar system, the Hijri calendar. It's like comparing the weights of two objects, and you measure one in kilogram and measure the other in pounds, and then you say, oh, they're not the same. And it's insane. You cannot, if you want to compare the weights of two objects, you have to either use kilograms for both or pounds for both, right? So this is the single most serious mistake that they make.